In 1992, Ozzy Osbourne threw himself the absolute biggest, most emotionally charged retirement party in the history of rock and roll.
Yeah, an incredibly exhausting tour.
The only problem, though, he didn't actually need to retire at all.
No, he really didn't.
Welcome in.
Mm.
We know you're here because you want to get straight to the good stuff, the incredible stories, and the real historical context without drowning in a sea of information overload.
Right, we're cutting through the noise.
Exactly. So today, we're taking a deep dive into a piece of music history that feels, honestly, almost too bizarre to be real.
It really does. It occupies this very strange, almost mythological space in heavy metal history.
It does. And every single detail we are unpacking today comes directly from the documented records on Wikipedia of Ozzy's legendary No More Tours tour.
The dates, the set lists, the wild background behind all of it.
Yep, it's all there. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how one single profound mistake ended up creating an iconic farewell tour.
A mistake with massive ripple effects.
Huge. A mistake that resulted in a legendary band reunion, a permanently altered lineup for another massive 90s rock band, and, incredibly, the lifting of a notorious 10-year city band.
Because when you strip it down to its core, you realize this wasn't just a series of concerts.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. The year is 1992. Ozzy announces the No More Tours tour, which, by the way, the title itself is just a brilliant, punny statement of intent.
No More Tours, playing on No More Tears, it's great.
Exactly. But this was officially meant to be the absolute end of the road.
Yeah, the reasoning given to the press at the time was that he was finally stepping away from that grueling, touring lifestyle, just to be with his family.
Which makes total sense.
It's the classic, universally understood narrative for an aging rock star.
Yeah, you put your decades in the trenches.
You build your legacy, and then you bow out to focus on your personal life.
Right, but the reality behind that press release was significantly heavier.
Much heavier.
The actual reason he was pulling the plug on his live career was because he had received a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, and when you think about what multiple sclerosis actually does to the human body.
Affecting the central nervous system.
Exactly. Causing extreme fatigue, muscle weakness, a loss of coordination.
You completely understand the immediate decision to retire.
Oh, without a doubt. You cannot be the Prince of Darkness, running around an arena stage, headbanging, and projecting over a wall of amplifiers for 2 hours a night with a degenerative neurological condition.
You really can't.
Yeah.
So you can imagine this dark cloud just hanging over the entire planning of the tour.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the logistical and emotional momentum built on top of what turned out to be a massive medical error.
Wait, I want to make sure we highlight that for you listening, because it is the wildest twist of this entire timeline.
It really is.
The diagnosis was entirely incorrect.
Completely wrong.
He did not have multiple sclerosis.
No, he didn't, but they didn't know that initially. So I want you to really think about the psychological weight of this tour for Ozzy, for his band, and for the fans.
Yeah, you're saying goodbye to the life you've known since the late 60s.
Exactly. You meticulously plan and execute this massive 64-show North American tour.
64 shows.
64 nights of high-octane heavy metal driven by this really profound, tragic finality.
Wow.
Every single time he stepped on stage, the audience thought they were watching a dying man's final lap.
And then the realization hits that it was all just a false alarm.
Yeah.
It is just impossible to comprehend the emotional whiplash of that.
Truly.
You go through this agonizing process of mourning your own career, you throw this gargantuan farewell lap, and then boom, you get a clean bill of health.
And the chronology of what happens next is so perfectly on brand for him.
It really is. Following this emotionally exhausting farewell tour, Ozzy just changes his mind.
Yep.
He decides to keep going. And the very next tour he launches in 1995 is hilariously titled The Retirement Sucks Tour.
It completely undercuts the solemnity of that 1992 run.
Completely.
But you have to appreciate the self-awareness there.
Oh, absolutely. But because everyone involved in 92 truly believed it was the end, the scale of the production was monumental.
They treated it like a heavy metal festival on wheels.
They really did. Especially when you look at the supporting acts they brought along.
Oh, yeah. The roster of opening acts is just a perfect time capsule of early 90s hard rock.
On the earlier legs of the tour, the opening slot featured this massive rotating combination of bands.
You had Slaughter, Ugly Kid Joe,
Faster Pussycat, and the legendary Motorhead.
It's a very specific, sleazy, high-energy brand of rock and roll.
It is. Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay.
As the tour rolls into the fall, the opening act shifts and Alice in Chains takes over.
Man, that shift right there is a microcosm of the entire music industry in 1992.
Seriously, you have the older guard of 80s hard rock transitioning out.
And the sludgy, darker Seattle grunge scene taking over.
Exactly. Having Alice in Chains support the godfather of heavy metal is a massive passing of the torch.
It is. But the connection forged on this tour goes far beyond simply sharing a catering den.
It fundamentally altered the trajectory of 90s rock.
Yeah, it did.
So, holding down the bass for Ozzy on this tour is a phenomenal musician named Mike Inez.
Incredible player.
Right. And while they're traveling across North America on this fall leg, Inez naturally starts hanging out with the guys in Alice in Chains.
Because they're on the road together every day.
Exactly. And they hit it off so well that after this No More Tours run, Mike Inez actually defects.
Just jumps ship.
He permanently leaves Ozzy's camp to join Alice in Chains for their massive dirt tour.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it drastically reframes how we should view the No More Tours era.
How so?
Well, this wasn't just a fake retirement lap for one guy. It acted as an unintended incubator for rock history.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because of a botched medical diagnosis, a tour was booked. Because the tour was booked, Alice in Chains was brought on as an opener.
Okay, I see where you're going.
And because they were the opener, they found the permanent bassist who would help define their sludgy, heavy sound for decades to come.
A 1992 heavy metal farewell tour essentially finalized the lineup of one of the greatest bands of the grunge era.
It's the ultimate butterfly effect.
It really is. But that's only one piece of rock history that got resolved on this run.
Too.
We have to talk about the October 1st show.
Oh, the San Antonio show.
Yes, because for a guy with a reputation for absolute chaos, returning to San Antonio, Texas was a very big deal.
When you look at the tour itinerary, October 1st, 1992, at the Freeman Coliseum stands out.
Definitely.
For most of the country, it was just another arena date. But for Ozzy, it was his first time setting foot on a stage in that city since 1982.
Because he had been officially banned from performing in San Antonio for an entire decade.
An entire decade.
And the reason for this ban is quite literally the stuff of rock and roll infamy.
It is legendary.
Back in '82, Ozzy was arrested for public intoxication after urinating on the Alamo cenotaph.
And for anyone who might not grasp the gravity of that,
It's a huge deal.
the cenotaph is a deeply respected monument commemorating the Battle of the Alamo.
Right.
It is highly sacred historical ground in Texas, so the city officials responding with a 10-year ban was swift and definitive.
Just imagine the surreal nature of this scenario for a second.
Okay.
You think you are facing a severe physical decline, so you book one last lap around the country to make peace and say goodbye to the fans.
Right.
And part of that grand emotional redemption arc involves having to return to the city that banished you because you drunkenly peed on their most sacred historical monument.
The juxtaposition of a solemn farewell tour and a public urination pardon is just incredible.
It's hilarious. But he plays the Freeman Coliseum, the ban is finally lifted, and he closes out one of the most embarrassing chapters of his life.
It perfectly highlights the dual nature of his entire career, doesn't it?
Oh, totally.
He is simultaneously this revered elder statesman of a genre he helped create.
And the exact same reckless guy who caused international outrage.
Both of those identities had to share the stage that night in Texas.
They really did. And speaking of the stage, the way he decided to close out this tour is arguably the most ambitious finale in heavy metal history.
Without a doubt.
The final two shows took place on November 14th and 15th, 1992.
Out at the Pacific Amphitheater in Costa Mesa, California.
Yes. And the opening acts for these last two shows are just mind-blowing.
Unbelievable lineup.
First up, you have the incredible Brazilian metal band Sepultura.
Who were bringing a level of aggressive thrash that was totally reshaping the underground at the time.
Absolutely crushing it. But the second opener was Black Sabbath.
And we need to be very specific about this version of Black Sabbath because it is an absolute fever dream for a metal fan.
Tell them who was singing.
This was Black Sabbath featuring Rob Halford from Judas Priest on vocals.
Which is just staggering to think about.
It is.
You have the instrumental architects of heavy metal.
Yeah.
Fronted by the operatic voice of Judas Priest.
serving as the opening act for the original singer of Black Sabbath on his supposed final night on Earth as a performer.
It is an unbelievable gathering of talent.
But the way they orchestrated the very end of the night on November 15th is what elevates this from a great concert to a true historical event.
Yeah, paint the picture for us.
Okay, so Ozzy finishes his solo set. The crowd is going wild, fully believing they have just witnessed the last notes he will ever sing live.
Right.
The lights go down, and then right after his set, the original lineup of Black Sabbath reunites live on stage.
Wow.
Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward standing together for the first time in years.
That's just magic.
They play a 4-song set to close out the night.
What a way to go out. The original 4 guys who invented the genre in a gloomy factory town in England, closing out a massive California amphitheater.
This raises an important question about how artists attempt to curate their ultimate legacy.
How do you mean?
Well, put yourself in his shoes at that exact moment. As far as he knows, this is his final statement.
Right.
And instead of making it all about his massive solo success, he uses that moment to bring his entire career full circle.
He reconnects with the roots of the music.
Exactly. It is a profoundly poignant way to end a career, which, again, makes the fact that he was back on the road 3 years later highly amusing.
Totally.
But it doesn't diminish the emotional weight of that night in Costa Mesa.
Not at all.
Mm.
And I really want to spend some time digging into the actual music they were playing night after night on this run.
Or will we have to?
Because looking at the set list and the personnel that executed it gives us a brilliant snapshot of what a 1992 arena rock show felt like.
The curation of the set list is actually quite aggressive.
It really is.
It balances his solo material with his Sabbath roots, but the pacing is completely relentless.
Right out of the gate, the typical set list shows they open the concert with a cover of Black Sabbath's Paranoid.
Think about the sheer audacity of that.
Right. For most bands, Paranoid is the ultimate encore.
It is the definitive heavy metal anthem. You save it for the very end to leave the crowd completely drained.
But Ozzy walked out and blasted them with it on song number 1.
Insane.
From there, he launches straight into a barrage of solo hits. I Don't Want to Change the World, Desire, and the haunting classic, Mr. Crowley.
What stands out when you look at the structure of this show is how much dedicated space was given to showcase the virtuosos in his backing band.
Oh, yeah.
Ozzy's solo career has always been defined by the incredible musicians he surrounds himself with.
Always.
And this 1992 lineup was absolutely lethal. You had Zakk Wylde on guitar.
Zakk Wylde in 1992 was a force of nature.
Unstoppable.
The aggressive pinch harmonics, the wide vibrato, just a monster player.
Yeah.
And according to the set list, right after playing Flying High, again, the rest of the band stepped back, and Zakk Wylde got his own dedicated, extended guitar solo.
He just got to command the arena and shred, and the rhythm section was given the exact same treatment.
Right.
We already talked about Mike Inez holding down the low end on bass before his departure to Alice in Chains.
Yep.
But on drums, you had Randy Castillo.
Oh, legend.
The stamina required to play heavy metal drums for 2 hours is immense. And yet, right in the middle of Miracle Man, Randy Castillo was given a massive featured drum solo.
Just showing off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Throw in John Sinclair rounding out the sound on keyboards to give those songs their atmospheric dread, and you have a highly polished, incredibly tight live operation.
And the back half of the set list just does not let up.
No, it doesn't.
After those solos, they go into Suicide Solution, Goodbye to Romance, Shot in the Dark, and the epic, sprawling No More Tears.
A masterpiece.
And then we reach the encore. Imagine standing in the crowd, completely exhausted, thinking this is the last time you'll ever see him.
Yeah.
They come back out and hit you with Black Sabbath's War Pigs.
Unbelievable.
Then Bark at the Moon. Then the emotional gut punch of the ballad, Mama, I'm Coming Home.
And the final song of the typical set list.
Crazy Train.
It is a masterclass in arena pacing.
Yeah.
When you look at the sheer firepower of that set list, it perfectly encapsulates why the idea of him retiring was such a massive shock to the system.
Yeah, he wasn't a fading legacy act phoning it in.
Not at all. He was at the absolute peak of his powers as a live entertainer, delivering a sequence of anthems that most artists couldn't even dream of compiling.
Which brings us back to the reality of this situation. He wasn't at the end of his road at all.
Far from it.
He had so much more music, so many more world tours, a wildly successful festival in Ozfest, and a reality television empire still ahead of him.
Yeah, an entire second act of his life.
So what does this all mean for you?
Good question.
When we look at the entire scope of the 1992 No More Tours tour, I think the biggest takeaway is about the unexpected power of false alarms.
That's the real core of this story.
Yeah,
The central premise of this entire historical event was based on a fundamental flaw.
the bad diagnosis.
Right. A bad medical diagnosis led to a premature decision to end a legendary career.
Yep.
But because of that flaw, an incredible chain reaction occurred that reshaped the music landscape.
It is a great reminder that sometimes the things in our lives that we think are definite endings or the massive life shifts that feel like the permanent closing of a door are actually just catalysts for entirely new, amazing chapters.
Absolutely.
This fake retirement accidentally gifted Alice in Chains the bass player they needed to conquer the 90s.
It provided the exact right context for Ozzy to finally return to San Antonio and settle a 10-year-old public urination grudge.
Exactly. And it resulted in a legendary Black Sabbath reunion that might never have happened if Ozzy hadn't fully believed he was saying goodbye to the stage forever.
The historical significance of this tour is undeniable.
It really is.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one final lingering mystery buried in the source material that I think is worth pointing out.
Oh, yeah. This is good.
If you look closely at the meticulously documented tour dates, there's a massive anomaly right in the middle of the schedule.
The dead zone. Yes, this is such a bizarre detail.
It really is. The tour dates show that Ozzy played a show on the 4th of July in Charlevoix, Michigan.
Okay.
But immediately following that performance, there is a massive block of officially canceled shows.
Just 5 out.
Every single date from July 12th through July 30th is simply crossed out.
And we are talking about major markets here. Saratoga Springs, Montreal, Toronto, Philadelphia, Allentown.
Huge venues.
All just suddenly struck from the record. The tour doesn't officially pick back up until mid-August down in Miami.
And here is the provocative thought I want to leave you with.
Let's hear it.
The comprehensive documentation we have provides absolutely no explanation for this.
Not at all.
There is no footnote, no cited reason for why an entire 6-week block in the dead center of the summer was suddenly wiped off the map. On a tour that was supposedly a carefully orchestrated final lap, what exactly happened during that mysterious dead zone?
It's a fascinating blank spot in an otherwise heavily documented piece of history, and something for you to mull over.
It's the perfect rock and roll mystery to end on.
It really is.
Oh.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope we helped you uncover the hidden gems, the musical ripples, and the wild truths behind one of the most famous fake retirements in music history.
Keep asking questions.
Keep looking for the stories behind the stories and stay curious.